I'm glad to hear some lively conversation, though. This is great. So I'm in the spirit of getting you out for your free lunch period on time, and so that you'll have ample time to go out and grab something to eat. We're going to go ahead and get started again. And this session that we're going to be talking about now is really just in preparation for the fall semester. Again, kind of going back to when we first started our conversation here, you had last semester to start to kind of dip your toes in and really get a chance to experience tour firsthand. And now you'll be signing up for your fall semester time slots and really jumping into being a tour guide for the office on a regular basis. So with that comes just a little bit of things to keep in mind and be thoughtful about whenever you're a presence in our lobby, whenever you're checking in every day with that tour guide executive board. So I have here with me Brittany, who's going to introduce herself, but you'll be seeing her very, very often at the front desk. She is quite literally, her office is the lobby, and she's the eyes and ears of everything that happens for our visitor experience from the moment that they walk in the door until they walk out and go wherever they will at the end of their time with us. So I will let Brittany take it away here and kick us off.
Hi everyone, I recognize a few of you over here. I am Brittany Miller. I work at the front desk. The lobby is my office. I will be there to greet you when you come in and you leave, everything like that. Julie's going to go more into the exec board member and everything like that, but when you come in, check in with me, go find your exec board member who can distribute the keys. They'll keep track of the keys and everything like that. But just to start, I'm just going to go over just some things when you're in the lobby, when dividing tours, things like that. So when you come in for your slot, just check in with me. You can put yourself in the student worker room, get settled, and then come out for tour. I think we schedule you for 15 minutes before the tour start time. Then we will, typically the tour guide exec board will know this, but if you forget, feel free to ask me. I'll tell you how many families are here, how many tour guides there are, and how we'll divide the group of people, and how many families you'll take each, because that could get kind of messy sometimes. Keys, I'll distribute keys. We're going to try a new system this year, so we don't forget them or keep them in our dorm rooms. So if you guys take a key, you're going to give me your gate card or something with equal value, please. And then I can know who has a key or who forgot to bring back a key. They are quite expensive, so we want to keep track of those. We have 9 right now. I think we started out with 20. So please bring them back. They're very expensive. Dividing tours, it can get messy. We had a huge group this morning. The presentation room was packed. We're going to start going in on each side of the presentation room. If most of you don't know, there's a little secret door on the left-hand side that we can go in. You pass it when you're walking into the back hallway. So I think if we have 6 tour guides, 3 on each side, so we're not walking in front of people or in front of the admission officer or illustrators. When you're introducing yourself, make sure you're enthusiastic. This is a really important time for people. Some people are doing their last tour before they may apply, so you can have a huge impact on them. We get emails about people and how big of an impact their tour guide had on them. One of our summer tour guides, not this Hannah, but the other Hannah, got a compliment saying that our tours were better than Yale's. So I take that as a very, very high accomplishment and amazing. Yale's pretty amazing. So, and then while you're out on tour, you never know who you could be giving a tour to. You may come in and see that the tour groups are small and be like, do I really need to give a tour today? And I'll always say yes, because you never know the impact it could have on your life. One of our senior interns, Tracy, gave a tour over the winter to the previous CEO of, CNN, and then he gave her a connection to someone that works at Twitter. So you just never know what it could lead to. It's a great, great networking opportunity. we know on tour it could be tough, and I know you guys are going to have a tough questions training later on in the day, but what I say is honesty is the best policy. We know, like what Aaron was saying, this past year some things happen on campus, and we just want students to be as honest as possible. If you're not comfortable, look to me, look to the admission officer that's in the lobby. We always just want to make sure we give the visitor, customer, the answer that they're looking for, and make sure they go home with all their answers fulfilled, or all their questions fulfilled. Again, we know they're tough. I get some tough questions that I'm not even 100% sure, but I'll G-chat or message one of the admission officers, see if they can come down to make sure that the person gets their question answered. I view my job as customer service. I'm right in the lobby, so I have current students. President Casey walks by about 5 million times a day. To go off that, if you're in the lobby, again, you never know who's going to be in there. You never know who's walking by. Make sure the conversations are appropriate. I know outside life happens. I even had to train myself when I came to the front desk. You know, you're out there. You are in like open space. There could be someone sitting in the front porch area and you don't even know. So just, if you're talking with your friends, if you just came from a professor who gave you not a fair grade, just make sure you go in the back, let out your aggressions, and come out for a tour and be excited, because it's tough, I know, and I go through it too. Again, the customer service aspect, I say like 95% of this job, my job, your job, being a tour guide, is customer service. We want you to be honest and we want you to be truthful, but we want to be happy and excited that these people are coming to visit. Kendall traveled 2 planes and a car ride all the way to us, and there's people that come from China. We had a family come from the Ukraine the other day. Like, people come from everywhere, so they travel very far, and we just want to make their experience worth it, you know. And like Aaron was saying, people go down to Hamilton College, like right from here. We want to be better than Hamilton College, so I want to be Hamilton College. My husband works there, and I compete with him every day, saying that our tours are better. But yeah, just keep in mind, when you were a freshman, your mom or dad were dragging you here. You probably didn't want to do it, but it is an important aspect of your life and going to college, going off to college, excuse me, everything like that. You know, again, we get essays that applicants write about their tour guides and the impact they had, and you really do have a huge impact, and it's very, very important. So, anything else?
I think that's great. Will you, Brittany, just add in pieces about like where they should be standing in the lobby, like not crowding your desk, helping out maybe if there's a long line at the front desk, how you kind of envision that?
So, don't stand in front of the desk. It's very distracting, not only for me, and then next to me there is Sam, who is Gary's assistant. She has kind of a jail cell look going on with the bars, but she does hear everything. She does get distracted too. So just make sure if you're coming out from, especially the side door, to come out to the front porch. Also, when I'm telling you the number of families and families per tour guide, we sometimes, if there's a large group, we'll assign you to like go outside on the front porch or go in the front porches, and then split up the lobby, just so you're not on top of each other. This summer was a little difficult with the interns. They were playing a game, the floor is lava, so if you come behind the front desk, don't crowd. Most of the time, senior interns will come to grab their interview sheets, but other than that, try not to come back there. It's very claustrophobic, and unlike the admission officers and other people, like, I don't have a closed space as my office. This is my office, so it can get very claustrophobic very quickly. And then, you know, if you see a family coming in, make sure, you know, greet them. We often have greeters, but say a greeter's with another family or anything like that, you know, they come in, they may look lost, half the time the child doesn't want to come and check in, so the parent will push them up to me. Just make them feel comfortable. Offer them coffee, tea, all our publications. Ask where they're from. You might be from the same exact town, anything like that. So again, another way to make more connections. But yeah, spread the lobby. We don't want to be a big cluster. I have to remind our greeters sometimes to kind of separate and don't gossip about what's going on. And we know you have lives, but talk from separate points. You know, don't be in one big group. Yeah.
All right. I think, are
I
you
talk
feeling
fast.
good?
Yeah.
No, this is great. I have a few other things to add in as well. All right. Any questions at all for Brittany, guys? Let's give a round to Brittany. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time. And like I said, working with the executive board members and working with Brittany, you're going to be interacting with her quite a bit whenever you're coming in each week for your tours. Always feel free, give Brittany a wave, greet her, check in, say hi. You're also probably going to be checking in with your executive board member that will either be sitting at the front desk with Brittany at the other chair that's available there, or maybe back in the student volunteer room. So it really is up to the discretion of the executive board member where they will, decide to kind of make their home base. But you'll want to make sure that you're checking in with Brittany and that you're checking in with your exec member. Those are the two important people that you need to be seeing when you're coming in for tour. As Brittany mentioned as well, it's very important that you arrive 10 to 15 minutes before the start of your tour. So if you are signing up for a 10:30 tour slot, we want you to be there by no later than 10:20. Because as you heard from Brittany, there's a whole kind of stage of steps that needs to happen for you to be ready to jump into your tour. The first of which would again be greeting face-to-face your executive board member and Brittany, knowing that you're ready to give a tour that day. But it's also in making sure that you know how many people are going to be on your tour. So another thing that's really important to keep in mind is that when you're coming into the office, that's also when a majority of people might be checking in and registering for their tour that day, or maybe coming out of the information session. It's going to be a little bit hectic in the lobby. And so that's again why your executive board member is there. You are absolutely more than welcome to ask Brittany questions, to check in with her. She'll be able to be a great resource of information for you. But also bear in mind that she's also kind of doing a lot of multitasking, doing her own work in her office, talking and greeting you, giving you tour information, all while checking in a family. So that's a lot going on, and that's why the executive board member really is serving in this professional capacity as somebody that's there for you to be able to check in with as a professional resource, much like Brittany, where you're able to go and say, this is how many people should be on my tour. When you go into the presentation room and you walk up and say, I'm going to be taking you both on tour today, let's head on out. You already have in mind the number of people that should be on your tour, and you're going to be able to provide the best experience possible. Another point that Brittany mentioned, as tours, typically the general rule that I give is I do not like tours to be more than 25 people max. And that's why it's so important for me to find volunteers so that I'm not sending students out with a massive group that they're having to shout at the top of their lungs to give a tour to. So whenever we think about if we have a very small number of visitors coming in, and maybe there are all 10 tour guides on a time slot and they all show up and we're ready to go, we might have individual tours where it's one family or one group of people. We try to avoid sometimes using family because we don't want to assume that the people that are coming in are A, related, and B, a family unit that might be friends of a person. So we don't want to make assumptions, but essentially a group of people. We want to have one student to one student, a current student to a prospective student. If that is my dream, that is like every tour guide coordinator's dream at the end of the day, to have individual tours. Doesn't happen often, but just keep in mind that if you are coming in and it's possible to have every tour guide go on tour, that there's a group of people for each guide, that should be what happens. So always make sure that we're doing as small of tour groups as possible. Let's talk a little bit more about the executive board and their role and presence. So again, working with and supporting Brittany in this professional capacity. These are your tour leaders. These are, again, the faces that you're checking in with every day. They're coming in 30 minutes before the tour time to be able to check visitor numbers, get situated, be taking attendance. So that's why it's really important to check in with them face to face. They're going to be saying, oh, okay, Kaylee was here today, Lindsay was here today, Cole, was here for tour, or I ended up having the stomach flu. I hope that doesn't happen. So they're keeping avid track of whether you're showing up for your time slot. So they're taking attendance, they're checking visitor numbers, and then helping you get situated for tour. Maybe helping, distribute tour keys. They're going to also be greeting you with chipwiches whenever you get back and bringing out those chipwiches and helping you if maybe you had a really challenging question when you were out on tour, or maybe you didn't quite know how to answer something. These are your veteran tour guides. These are the leaders. These are the people who have been doing these tours for a long time and have very valuable insight. So if you have questions, they'll be able to help you with some of that wrap up whenever you get back to campus. Just another professional resource that you can go to be able to know that you're getting as much information and that customer service piece to that group of people as possible, which is the ultimate goal at the end of the day. Another thing to keep in mind as well is that whenever we have students that are coming into the office, we want to make sure that you are on call for any walk-in guests. That does happen actually more than you might realize, where people will just walk in maybe 5 minutes after tour. So we will ask you to stay behind. Sometimes we might ask you to do a mock tour if you haven't had a tour in a while, just to be able to go out there and kind of have some practice so that you're not falling out of the groove. Additionally as well, it's also really important when you think about your work with the executive board member that you're dividing tours up as evenly as possible. And so a strategy that's really important to use, especially whenever the presentation room or you're in a room like this, a larger room, you want to make sure that you're dismissing people from the back of the room so that you don't have a massive traffic jam of people trying to sift through the people standing in the back of the presentation room. Just be strategic in making sure that the exit is going to be as smooth as possible. Okay? Any questions so far? Great. The last thing that I want to share with you as well is a little bit more of logistics of what the semester is going to look like. So we've talked a lot about weekly campus tours. You're going to sign up for 1 weekly time slot at least. Obviously, if you would like to do more, we would love to have you in the office as much as you would possibly like to be, and we really appreciate that. But we do ask for tour guides to sign up for 1 weekly time slot that they're consistently showing up to the office to give a tour. Additionally, we do ask tour guides to volunteer for 2 Saturday sessions. So in the morning on Saturdays throughout the fall and the spring, we have an information session followed by a campus tour where we will have you go out and lead a tour around usually 10:30 in the morning. Usually you're wrapping up back at the office by noon at the very latest to kind of head out for the rest of your day. Can be a great way to get you up the hill and excited to study for that Saturday afternoon study session before the start of the next week. So that's what Matt Leo, our intern last year, used as his motivation to get up on a Saturday morning. Additionally as well, we do have several outside campus visit events that happen that are outside of our normal daily campus visit. The first of which that's coming up is what's called Colgate in Focus. This is an opportunity, it's a fly-in program that's provided specifically for students that are coming from a wide variety of diverse backgrounds and experiences who may have a challenge that would not allow them to be able to come and visit our campus. We will help with the transportation costs of being able to fly those students into our campus, have a host, and also take a tour. So if this is something that you'd be interested in, please reach out to me. We will have tour guides that are a part of this program and really speaking to, again, what Erin shared, that inclusive experience that you can have on this campus, the wide variety of opportunities that you can have. And these students are coming from quite a distance sometimes, so it can be a really meaningful connection that you make with them as they kind of go through their journey in their college search. Additionally, as well, we are going to have what's called our fall open house in November. And this is really quite literally an all hands on deck affair. Every year, which I say that with a grain of salt because our first open house was last year. So this will be the second time that we're doing the fall open house. And it is a massive event. We max out the number of registrants and usually have a waiting list of people who would like to attend. So when I turn to my tour guides, I'm begging, please, 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 in some capacity, whatever you're able to help out that day. It is expected that whenever you're not in class, if you're able to help out for one of those sessions, we really need all hands on deck and that support for, some of those larger open house events. Okay, whew, it's a lot of information. So with 5 minutes to spare, I have one final thing that I want to go over with you. And I'm actually going to pull this up right here. So many of you, I'm sure, have seen the emails that have gone out from me about coverage for our first 2 weeks of classes. We specifically create this schedule so that you're not stressing about, oh my goodness, my schedule isn't finalized. Am I going to be in organic chemistry? I'm still on the wait list for one of these classes. We understand there's a lot in flux. And so this schedule is really designed so that you're able to sign up for one time slot in either the first week or second week of class to be able to come in and give a tour until you finalize your schedule. Then whenever the drop ad period ends and you have a pretty good sense of what your schedule is going to look like for the semester, that's whenever we're asking you to sign up for your weekly time slot. So the time that works in your schedule for you to come in every single week and give a tour. Now that being said, I'm sure that as you look at this document, it's a lot. You'll know this about me and really get to know this about me. I love color coding and organization. So I try to be as organized as possible, but also know that if for whatever reason this just doesn't make sense to your brain, please ask me questions. I'm going to go through it with you now, and I'm going to start actually with the first day of classes here. So you're going to see that we don't offer a morning tour. That's because it's a little bit of a funky schedule that day in terms of the class schedule as well. So we don't have the morning tour, but you'll see that there are 2 spots here with white spaces, and lovely Hannah Ritchie, who is videotaping our session, has signed up to give a 2:30 campus tour. But I still don't have any tour guides for 12:30, and I only have one tour guide for 2:30, and it's a really busy day. So is there anyone that would be willing to give a tour on the first day of classes during either of those 2 times?
I have a jar of candy at my desk.
Yes.
Pushes anyone.
Keeping in mind that we do have to have coverage for all of the tours that happen this week, so if you haven't signed up for this schedule, who is on this schedule? Raise your hand. Okay. So a majority of you are. It's great. If you aren't on this schedule yet, I want you to really take a look over the next couple days here of training and see if any of the tours that particularly do not have any of the, oh, look, somebody's putting something in there right now. I love the bulldogs. I'm stalking this sheet, guys. You see, this is what's happening behind the scenes. You have me looking at this going, I need tour guides. So thank you, whoever is writing on here. If you aren't on this schedule yet at all, you need to be. It's really important. Find a time that works for you, preferably if it's a time that has no one signed up. Please, if it's at all possible in your schedule, we so appreciate it whenever I can go to sleep that night and not have to. You guys wake up with the exam nightmares. I wake up with the, oh my gosh, my tour guides didn't show up nightmares. Yeah. Okay? It's real. It's scary. Even though I'm in the real world, quote unquote now, I still have the equivalent of those dreams. Please help me sleep soundly at night and make it so that I'm not worried about if we're gonna have tour guide coverage. If it's possible, again, I realize that your students, you have a lot of stressors in your life and you have a lot going on. So I understand if it's like not logistically possible to give a tour at 12:30 on the first day of classes, that's fine. But if it is in any way possible for your schedule, it will be really helping me out to be able to sign up for those time slots. So I just wanted to make a note of that for anybody in the audience that hasn't signed up yet, and to be able to please potentially help us out at some of those times that need coverage. As you can see here, so this is a day that we really need some help. And you'll see during Monday we have a few people helping out, but it's a little bit thin on Monday, September 3rd. Sasha, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the exec board member at their finest. Thank you so much. And then we're looking pretty good for the rest of the week. Like, thank you all so much for signing up. I really want to stress that. But it looks like Friday at 10:30, so I'll just highlight that there. We do need somebody to sign up for a time slot there as well. So again, any help will be greatly appreciated to be able to get people out on tour. And that's all I have. Any other last minute questions or thoughts before we break for lunch? Are you feeling like it's time for lunch? I think I am too. I have some leftover soup waiting for me at home in my fridge. All right, guys. You've been great this morning. Take some time, re-energize, get some fresh air. Now, remember and keep in mind, we want to be right on time for our first Campus Partners session. It's going to be LGBTQ Initiatives in the Department of Women's Studies. That's at 12:45. Okay. So actually, you have about an hour and 15 minutes here. That's going to be over in the Boxer room in Case Library. So please make sure that you arrive on time, prompt, ready for that session. Thank you. Have a great lunch.